We will start today's class laying down. So possibly finding Shavasana, corpse pose with your arms and legs extended. I have an extra blanket here under my head just for some extra cushion and comfort for me. Shavasana, arms and legs outstretched. But for any reason, if that doesn't feel right today, maybe you could try bending your knees and standing your feet up at the edges of the mat. I kind of like to tuck my tailbone under, then set my low back on the mat, and then allow my knees to rest at the center. If there's any other variations or starting poses that you'd want to do instead, as always, please feel free to follow any curiosities or anything that your body leads you to, even if it doesn't make sense in the moment. And take any little micro adjustments until you feel as calm, as restful as you can here in this moment. And maybe closing your eyes or slowly scanning your space if you prefer to keep them open. If it feels right to take a couple of sighs, some clearing breaths, you can do that anytime. Just an inhale through your nose. Nice big sigh out of the mouth. And starting to notice, just generally noticing anything that's going on with you or in your space physically, emotionally, energetically, or beyond. Continuing to take stock, tending to those different parts, physical, spiritual, emotional parts of you. And an invitation to listen into your breath a little bit more. Does it feel like it's flowing? Are you wanting to breathe in a shallow way, or do you have some nice expansive breaths going? As you continue to grow your awareness of your breath, maybe starting to lengthen out and deepen both the inhales and the exhales. Deepening and expanding them just enough, not too much so you start to feel stressed about your breath or like you feel like you have to exert any undue energy as you breathe fully. Finding that sweet spot. And seeing if it feels good to you to take some belly breaths, some diaphragmatic breaths. So letting your belly expand with your inhales and soften with your exhales. It's a common thing that I see among students in person or private yoga clients that, especially in older than me generations, I think there was a time where, well, even in my time as well, there was a time where like sucking in your stomach was the thing. And when you breathe in, it's like an upper chest breathing in and kind of a backwards style of breathing. So the the belly kind of goes in with the inhales and, stays restricted there. So it's one of the biggest changes I see in my private, just how much breathing into the belly I've heard people to focus. One client in particular who has COPD, learning to breathe into the belly and then fully exhale has just been life-changing for them. With asthma as well, it almost seems like sometimes we're afraid to exhale enough. So expanding your awareness even deeper of your breath as you decide if you'd like to set a dedication or intention for your practice today. And when you're ready, let's start to wiggle fingers and toes. Let your head rock from one side to the other. Find your way into a long body stretch, reaching fingers and toes, arms and legs long in opposite directions, maybe circling ankles or wrists a few times. All right. Let's find a couple rounds of breathing bridge pose. If you have anything under your head, any props beneath you, you might want to move those out of the way for now. We'll bend the knees, stand the feet up on the floor. Tuck your shoulder blades in underneath your chest there. And then tuck your tailbone under so your low back presses into the mat. A nice solid feeling here, strength. So feel that pressure pushing down through the arms and feet, and then inhale and lift the hip points straight up, squeezing the glutes, feeling those thighs working at the top, and then exhale to lower down. Let's do that a few times. Follow your breath. When your inhale comes, rise up. When your exhale arrives, slowly lowering down. Even as we strengthen the muscles, we can still do this in a yogic way. So we're present in each movement, trying our best to stay curious in what's here right now. Kind of have that beginner's mind. Even if you've done a million bridge poses, still arriving at each part as if you were a beginner, brand new. What's interesting? What can feel new for you today? When you've had enough of bridge pose, let's come on back down. Start to hug your knees in toward your chest, and then take a little bit of free movement here, rocking a little bit side to side, or circling your knees, massaging out the sacrum and the low back. Okay, planting your feet down on the floor when you're ready. Hands can come out by your sides for support or anywhere for support there. Press your right foot down and then start to lift your left leg up, straightening or almost straightening the left leg there. Press down more through your right leg if it feels too hard to keep that left leg up, you can always keep it bent as well. So we're just gonna take some little circles with that left leg, circles in the hip joint here, so your entire leg is moving. You can start with some little tiny circles, or maybe start to get them bigger. Maybe really exploring the edges of your range of motion if that feels interesting. And switching directions at some point. Anytime we have the feet or the legs up, it's really good for our circulation. Really good to move each of our at least major joints every day, especially those hips. And then grab hold of your left leg wherever you can reach, maybe behind your knee or your thigh. And then start to pull your leg in toward the chest, getting a stretch through the back of your left leg. Sometimes pointing and then flexing your ankle or your left toes can feel nice here too. Ooh, circling. That left ankle feels great. Good, and then bend the left knee, set that foot down. We'll switch sides. So the right leg lifts however much today. And just go ahead and start to take some circles with the right leg. Any size, maybe some little tiny ones, maybe eventually some bigger ones. And switching directions at some point. I know it's hard to keep that left leg still while you're doing this, but just see if you can really firmly plant that left foot down so there's minimal movement through your left leg. I know you do not have to be 100% on that. Okay, when you've had enough, let's pull that right leg in, grabbing hold of the back of your leg somewhere, and pulling in just enough so you feel a stretch through the back of your right leg, and possibly flexing and straightening the right ankle and or circling through the ankle. All right, go ahead and lower that foot down. Let's turn on to either side and then press your way up to a seat. And then come right on over to hands and knees for cat and cow. Hands right below the shoulders, knees below the hips, fingertips spread out. Inhale, cow pose, belly lowers, gaze and tailbone lifts. Hang out here in cow pose for a little while, breathing, maybe swaying a little bit. And then wait for your next exhale to find cat pose. Tucking your tailbone under, like a wave up your spine, tucking your chin as well. Hang out in cat pose for a couple of breaths, maybe finding a little bit of movement or swaying. Ooh, I'm finding like a figure 8 kind of shape with my shoulders. Feels really good. Figure 8. All right, now we'll flow through cat and cow at your own pace. Inhaling to find cow, belly lowering, gaze lifting. Exhaling to cat. Keep on going. And we'll find our way back to extended child's pose next. Knees out toward the edges of your mat, big toes touching behind you. Maybe sinking back a little bit here. You could rock forward again a couple of times. Sometimes that's nice if it feels like too much to stay in child's pose. Or if you want to find stillness, maybe coming down to your forearms or walking your hands out toward the top of your mat and allowing your head and heart to sink toward the floor. Make sure that your knees are wide enough that You can find that belly breath again. Unlearning all that sucking in of the stomach. We are not here for that. We are inhaling, letting your belly expand and take up all its space. And exhaling as you soften into it. A breath or two more. And then find your way up to tabletop. We'll get ready for downward dog here. So grabbing your blocks, if you like to use them, up at the top of the mat here, curling your toes under. Let's pick up the knees, reach your tailbone high. Press into your hands so much that your shoulders start reaching with your biceps up close by your ears. Find your breath here. Flow with your breath. And if you'd like, maybe pedal out your legs, bending and straightening opposite knees a few times. Be finding some other kind of sway or movement that feels interesting or playful to you. Take your time here. Eventually, we're going to end up in a squat at the back of the mat. I highly recommend taking your blocks with you. So maybe walking your hands back toward your feet, setting up a nice little chair seat thing for you right behind you, and then toe heeling your feet out wide and coming to sit on your blocks or on the edge of a chair, or you can stay up right a little bit more here too and sway with your hands on your knees. Just find your variation of a squat. So puff the chest up here, elbows coming to the inner knees. Feeling that nice opener through the hips, through the groin. 2 more belly breaths here. And then a clearing breath together in through your nose and sigh it out. When you're ready, we're gonna come on up. So if you can reach the floor, maybe shifting forward and then straightening your legs. So heeling your feet together, or a little closer together rather. Let's bend the knees, then walk your hands up your legs, slowly rising to stand. Up at the top, we'll get our good shake and bounce and wiggle out here. So you can always start with heel drops if you want, lifting and lowering your heels. That's a good way to get that kind of deep bounce going through the tissues of the body. You could twist a little bit here or really shake it out. All right. We'll come to the back of the mat as you're ready. And with an inhale, let's lift the hands up and overhead. This is our upward salute. And we'll back bend here. So cactus the arms, like goalpost arms. Squeeze your glutes and push your hips forward, maybe looking up toward the ceiling. Keeping your glutes engaged will help to protect your low back. Inhale, rise up, upward salute. Exhale, baby back bend again. One more time, inhale, upward salute, standing straight, arms reaching high. Exhale, baby back bend. Inhale, hands reach high. Exhale, open arm twist toward the right. Inhale, come back to the center, hands lifting. Exhale, open arm twist toward the left. Inhale, back to center. We'll do that one more time each direction. Exhale, twisting to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, open arm twist to the left. Inhale, center. Grab hold of your hands, interlace the fingers and create that steeple grip, it's called, or the Charlie's Angels hand thing. So we'll point that straight up tall. You could toe heel your feet out a little wider if you like, or maybe you end up realizing you like your feet a little closer together. We'll just do a little bit of side bending here. So side bending to one direction. Then with an inhale, making your way back up to center. Exhale, side bend to the other way. Inhale, rise. One more time like that on both sides. Exhale, side bend. Inhale, center. Last side bend with your exhale. Inhale, come back up, and exhale, let your arms come down. All right, we're gonna start with a little bit of balancing here. So maybe rocking some weight forward and back over your feet, getting them warmed up, feeling and sensing the bottom of your feet can help you balance. So we will shift all the weight to the right leg and start to find one-legged mountain pose with the left knee lifting. So toes could stay down, or we could flex that left ankle and bring the knee up. And then straighten that left leg. We're gonna point the toes here and then draw, like your toe was a marker, let's draw a semicircle. So we're going all the way around and back and crossing behind you as far as you can. It'll be kind of a weird looking circle, but that's okay. And then see if you can come back to the front in that same type of way. No problem if you need to step your toe down at any point along your semicircle. Let's do that a couple of times. Sweeping that leg back and around. Both directions a few times. It will be harder if you keep your leg up higher. Okay, then take a step forward with that left foot. Slowly step into the left foot. Right knee will come to our one-legged mountain pose. Getting situated on this side. And then straightening your right leg, pointing the right toes, either toes on the ground or staying up as you draw that big semicircle or half, I don't know what it would look like. So just go forward and back a couple of times and set the foot down anywhere along the way for support. We're playing. We're strengthening the hips at all kinds of different directions here. And novelty is also very good for the brain. When you're ready, step your right foot forward. Take a last step or two to get to the top of your mat, shaking anything out that needs it. And then we'll start our sun salutation variations. So find a footing that feels comfortable and supportive, looking at your feet for a minute, maybe wiggling your toes, keeping that awareness there through the feet. Inhale, reach your arms up and overhead, upward salute. Exhale, baby back bend. Inhale, upward salute. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Arms reach wide. We're hinging at the hips here first, and then allow your hands to find the floor blocks. Inhale, halfway lift, hands slide up the legs. Exhale, hands come back down to the floor or block split step, just the right foot back. Lower your right knee down to the mat right away. You can keep your right toes tucked under or flatten the top of your foot to the mat. We're going to sink forward just slightly, not too much, maybe about 50%. With an inhale, let's reach the arms high. Keep breathing here and start to notice, what does your pelvis feel like it's doing? Do you feel like there's a big kind of rounding in your low back? Can we create this nice kind of like zipped up core feeling where we kind of squeeze the glutes a little bit here, keeping them in place? We're gonna engage the core here, knitting the rib cage together and getting kind of into like a power position. All right, take a breath in as your hands come back up. Exhale, low arrow pose. So your arms will sweep back, your chest and head reach forward. Find airplane arms, so your shoulder blades hug together behind you. Let's do that 2 more times. We'll inhale, sweep the arms down, forward and up. And exhale, low arrow. Inhale, rise back up, feeling that zipping up of the core here, stability. And exhale, airplane with the arms. Let your hands come down to your blocks here. Step your left knee back to meet your right. And then lower your chest all the way down to the floor. Hug your elbows in toward your sides. Press the tops of your feet down a lot. And with your inhale, rise up to baby cobra. Head and heart lifting. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, rising up. Baby cobra. And exhale, back down. This time we're inhaling to rise up to baby cobra. And then exhaling to child's pose, pressing your way up and back, whichever variation you prefer. Knees could be out wide, or maybe they come in a little closer. One more breath in and out. Inhale, rise up, tabletop, grabbing your blocks if you like. And exhale, downward dog. For 3 breaths here, press into your hands. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Last breath in. Last breath out. So we're going to walk the hands to the back of the mat. Option to find a little squat as you go, or just find your way to a forward fold. So maybe you just take a moment and a squat back there. Find your breath with an exhale. Everyone meeting up in a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, bending your knees. Inhale, reverse swan dive. So arms reach it wide first, then hinge up through your hips. Upward salute at the top. Exhale, hands to heart center. Pressing thumbs into the sternum. Palms pressing together. Samastitihi, equal standing pose. A moment, a pause to feel and create or sense some balance within you. Briefly checking in and seeing how you are again on that physical, mental, emotional, all the different planes. Feeling the flow of prana, of life force, energy. And then we'll take a clearing breath in through the nose. Sigh to release. Your choice what you do with your hands here next. We'll do our balancing again to get to the front of the mat. We're going to switch it up a little bit this time. So first, centering your weight over the right foot and finding one-legged mountain pose with that left knee lifting again. Breathe like normal throughout this portion. Option to do exactly what we did last time, just finding those big circles with the left foot, trying to keep it lifted for some of the time or all of the time. Or if you want to add in an airplane pose, we'll do a little bit of that circling and then eventually airplane pose. So we'll lean forward, hugging the shoulder blades together, lifting that left leg behind you. So it's your chance here to just kind of play around with this. When you're done with this side, you might try to sweep your left leg around and up, finding one-legged mountain pose. And then stepping down, find your way. We'll switch sides, left foot, finding that weight. Starting your experimentation with maybe starting with one-legged mountain pose with the right knee lifted now. Maybe straightening or finding those circle movements. If you want, we have an optional airplane pose again on this side. So maybe finding your way to airplane pose in a new way. You can always do this with a wall behind you if you kind of like step back with your foot on the wall. It can be a really nice feeling. Same thing with your hands. You can reach for a wall and lift that foot up. Back of the couch could work too. All right, when you're ready, bringing that right leg forward some way, somehow, and then stepping down. Step up to the top of your mat if you're not quite there. With an inhale, upward salute, hands lift, joining overhead. Exhale, baby back bend. Inhale, reach high. Exhale, swan dive, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, hands coming to the floor or blocks. We're stepping just the left foot back and then lower the left knee down right away. Left toes can stay tucked under, or you can flatten top of your foot to the mat anytime. Let's shift the hips forward just about 50%, not too much. And start to lift your way up here. Maybe lifting the arms here or taking a moment just to kind of feel into the pelvis. Do you have a big swoop in your low back? Maybe we tuck the tailbone under slightly and then find that nice solid core unit here. Possibly lifting your arms once you're feeling stable. Exhale, arrow, low arrow pose, arms sweeping back, head and chest sweeping forward. Hug those shoulder blades together behind you. Inhale, rise back up. Core engage. Exhale, low arrow. One last time, inhale, sweeping the hands high. Exhale, arrow. Breathe like normal as you bring your hands to the blocks or the floor, stepping your right knee back to meet your left. Hands planting, and then lower your way down. Chest finding the floor. We'll do 3 more rounds of our baby cobra. So good for our posture and spinal health. With our inhales, let's rise up, maybe hovering your hands up off of the floor if you want to be humbled. And exhale, lower down. Inhale, rising up, your version, baby cobra. And exhale, lowering down. Last time, we're doing it a little different. Inhale to rise. Exhale, find your way to child's pose, your version. Knees together or out wide. Stillness or a little bit of swaying here. Just make sure your breath is a huge part of your experience. Eventually rising back up to tabletop, grabbing your blocks for downward dog. And with an exhale, downward dog. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, feel all the fingers and toes gripping the floor. Exhale. Last breath in and breath out. We're gonna walk the hands to the back of the mat, bending your knees. Option to find a little squat at the back first, only if you want. Take a breath in wherever you are. Exhale, forward fold, straightening your legs if they were in a squat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees a little deeper than you think. And then we'll rise up in our reverse swan dive. So arms reaching wide, push the floor away. Standing high, join your hands overhead. With an exhale, hands back to heart center. Maybe closing your eyes down. Letting this feel like a special or a sacred moment. Remembering you're alive, appreciating something if you feel like it. Let's take a clearing breath together, in through the nose. Big sigh, let it go. Opening your eyes if they were closed. One last round of our balancing play. This time we're starting on the left foot. So shift your weight over toward that left foot. Start to find one-legged mountain pose or so with that right knee lifting. Any kind of that circling, semi-circling experimentation here. Maybe bending and straightening that knee a couple of times. Have a little play. Eventually, maybe finding airplane pose if you'd like. Oh, it's really nice if you can stamp your foot on a wall. Eventually seeing if you can make your way back up with the right knee lifting, and then take a nice big step forward, shifting your weight to the right foot. Left leg gets a little chance here at movement, maybe that circling. You know the options. There are even more than I've ever mentioned. Hopefully you find some of those. If you'd like, coming through airplane. And then bringing that left knee back up at some point. Take your time. And go ahead and step that foot down. Take a big breath in and sigh it out. All right, if there's any little movements you wanna just get out here while we're still standing, go right ahead. We're gonna make our way down to the floor next. Take your time. We're lowering all the way to our backs. Hugging your knees in when you arrive. We'll take a little bit of free movement again. Slowly finding that kind of massaging pressure through the low back and the sacrum. There's a lot of nerves and blood vessels and all kinds of stuff going on around the sacrum there. So just kind of good to give everything a good massage. And you're welcome to continue this free movement or join me in an SI joint kind of reset. So the SI joint is how the sacrum connects to the pelvis, right there where they join. So basically, we're going to place the right hand on the right thigh, or kind of right behind the right knee, and the left hand will reach kind of on your left shin. So what we're going to do is we're going to push the left knee out into the left hand and pull or push the right knee into the right hand. So the left knee pressing away, right knee pressing in to that hand. See if you can kind of create some resistance for yourself here. Pushing, and then let go. Let your feet come down to the floor. Take a moment just to let that transpire. Maybe letting your knees kind of sway a little bit side to side. And then we'll switch sides so the knees come back up. This time we're pressing into the left thigh, and the right hand, then the right knee and the right hand pressing out, left hand, left thigh, the back in. So press in both directions, opposite directions. You're giving yourself some resistance. And then release, bringing your feet to the floor. Let's find constructive rest pose, so the feet are out wide and the knees rest together at the center. Let your arms just come out by the sides for a moment too. Just letting it sink in. And then we'll get a little shoulder in between the shoulder blades. We'll do a little massage there. So give yourself a little hug, grabbing opposite shoulders or elbows or wherever you can reach here. Let's have the right arm on top, or whichever arm, just remember which arm you have on top here. So we're grabbing opposite shoulders or arms, and feel how your shoulder blades kind of widen, so there's space in between your shoulder blades. You can kind of lift your shoulders higher toward the ceiling, or kind of push your elbows up toward the ceiling. So we're in kind of a rounded shape through the upper back. And go ahead and rock your upper body a little bit back and forth, massaging pressure up here. When you're ready, switching sides, bringing the arms out wide. Then finding that little hug position with the other arm on top this time. And again, just a little bit of rocking side to side. Feel that massaging pressure between the shoulder blades. You are welcome to stay and just hold on any spot that feels that it needs it. If this is feeling really good, or you have some knots in your back you want to kind of work out on your own, you can put a sock or something else beneath your back and kind of press into that. The softer the item that you're using, the less, obviously, the less pressure it'll be on your back. Some people use like tennis balls, but that can be quite intense if you're feeling some tenderness. So start with like a balled up sock. Okay, then let your arms go wide again. We'll let the arm or the legs go straight. Little long body stretch here for a moment. And then if there are any last movements, poses, or stretches that you want to move through, go ahead and do that now. Eventually finding a nice, comfy way to enjoy our final rest. Could be Shavasana or constructive rest pose. If you really like legs up the wall or legs up on a chair, that can be a nice treat. Tending to any needs that arise. And eventually checking in with your relationship to stillness. How are you relating to stillness today? Does it change with every moment? Is it something that you would allow to grow? Stiller and softer. Just having the intention to meditate is a success in itself. You don't have to stop all of your thoughts from coming. For a lot of people, that would mean they probably aren't conscious. So it's normal to have thoughts continue to arise, but maybe we can practice having a little extra hang time between thoughts. It's a little more space, a little more space to respond instead of react. Lengthening not only our physical body through our asana movement practice, but strengthening and expanding general awareness, trust, and knowing of ourselves. Softening the face. So peaceful and calm. If someone were to look at you, maybe they'd think you were sleeping. And having a really nice, comforting dream. Softer and softer, more spacious. And when thoughts arise, remember that's normal. And see if you can come back to that space between the thoughts. And a sense of embodied being, presence. Taking a little scan, checking any areas of tension or pain, and seeing if you can sweeten it up a little bit or calm those areas down if possible. And you're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like, resting anytime you feel like it. When you're ready to reawaken, let's do it in a slow, kind way, gently wiggling fingers and toes. Maybe letting your head rock side to side, opening and closing your jaw, swallowing or yawning. Continuing to move in intuitive ways. And eventually rolling onto either side, finding the fetal position for a breath or two, tucking the knees in slightly, just being here, at least one full round of breath, honoring the transition. More hang time. And when you're ready, use the help of your arms and hands to press your way up to a comfortable seat. Joining hands at heart center once more. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May we have peace in our actions, peace in our words, and peace in our thoughts. Bringing thumbs up to third eye center, taking a moment to remember and acknowledge all of the teachers who have come before, all the way back to India where yoga originated. And if it feels right, let's take a little bow forward to close our class together. Peace. All right, thank you so much, everybody.